I'm out in the landscape today. I'm here at Dovestone Reservoir near Saddleworth Moor, and I'm here to shoot with my second film camera, which is the Lubitel 166. This camera gives very similar results to the Holger, but slightly better results. But it's a great introduction to using film because it's very cheap, and it's a great introduction to using medium format as well. It's a twin lens camera, meaning that you view the scene through one lens through the viewfinder, whilst the film sees the scene through another lens. Again, I'm using Kodak Portra 400, a great colour negative film, so hopefully get some nice colour images, but of course I can convert those to black and white if the scene suits. So it's a crisp, cold morning here, sun's out. Let's go and see what I can get with this camera. Well, on here we have a 75mm lens, which is about equivalent to a 47mm lens on a standard digital SLR. Apertures range from f4.5 to f16, and shutter speeds from 1/15 to 1/250. There's no exposure meter built into this camera, so I'm having to use a separate handheld meter to do all my readings. And as with most film cameras, there's a cable release socket on the side to put in a cable release. Now, because this camera doesn't have a built-in exposure meter, I'm using a separate handheld one. This is an old Sigonic one that I've had for many years. Very easy to use. I just put in the ISO that I'm using, which is 400 to match the Kodak Portra 400 film. Set it on 125th shutter speed, put it up to the light, press the button, and that gives me my corresponding aperture that I need to use, which I can then put on the camera. Simple as that. Now for this next shot, I've got to get nice and low to get this rock in the foreground here, just to balance with the hill. Don't want too much water in the mid-ground, so that's why I'm going to try and get as low as I can. It's not that wide a lens on this camera, so I can't get right in close. But there is a contrast difference because the rock is in shadow and the hillside and the water is in the bright sunlight. So this camera does have a filter thread on the front of the lens, so I put an adapter on so I can use a 46mm leaf filter adapter, so I can use my 7.5 filter system on the front, and that means I can put a grad filter over the top half of the picture just to balance down that contrast a bit, and that will help the film balance up the exposure. Negative film does have quite a wide latitude, but any filtering that you can use to assist that obviously does help the final result. Now these sunny conditions that I've got today are all very nice, but it's not the most ideal for landscapes. Empty sky, there's no cloud, all a bit bland. Pictures could look a bit bland at the moment. That's my excuse anyway. But there's an opportunity here shooting across the reservoir. Because we've got the sun off to my right, I can use a polarizer to help boost the colours and deepen that blue sky, which I think might make a better picture. So I'm just going to add the polarizer, take a meter reading, but take into account the 2 stops of light loss that you get with the polarizer. So I've got to open up the exposure a bit more when I set it on the camera, but I think that might just work over here. So a little bit of an experiment here. I'm shooting the stream here with the water running over the rocks. I'm going to try a long exposure by putting the camera into its bulb mode, because it's still so bright, but it's a little bit shaded down here. I'm putting the aperture f22, but to give me the exposure long enough to blur the water, I'm putting the Lee little stopper on, which is 6 stops ND, and that's giving me an exposure around 4 seconds. So I've got to guess it or just time it with my watch, but whether this is going to come out, I don't know, but we'll give it a go. So I'm actually going to allow a few extra seconds of exposure, so I'm going to do about 6 or 7 seconds. That's to allow for reciprocity failure. Not sure if that's how you say it. What that means is when you use film over 1 second, it doesn't quite get the exposure right as it would do in a fraction of a second. So you've got to allow a little bit of extra time for the film to be able to react. So it's all a bit fingers crossed on this one, but hopefully we'll get a good result. Well, I probably would have liked to have done a bit more shooting down there today with the Lubitel, but because it's so bright, so contrasty, it's just not going to work, so I'm going to have to leave it for there for now. Well, I've got this nice view here now. I've got this nice tree and a nice dry stone wall leading into the shot with a nice bit of a curve on it, and then the hillside leading up to the left hand side there. Sun coming in from my left hand side as well. Still got clear blue skies. It's far from ideal for this kind of scene. I would have preferred a lot more cloud, a lot more drama in the shot, but not to be. But I think the composition is going to make this one work quite well. Now there's various ways to view the scene on this camera. You can look down into the viewfinder, of course. We've got the view, but then there's this little peephole here, so you can put the front flap down, get nice and close, and you can view it directly through there if you get your eye to it, or you can actually drop that down and just use the front frame to frame up the shot. And also inside you've got a little pop-up magnifier so you can fine-tune your focus, although it doesn't work that well, to be honest, but it's nice to have the option. Right, let's continue walking around the reservoir, see what else we can find. With these clear blue skies and clear conditions, I'm just looking for very simple shapes within the landscape. Well, I'm all the way around the other side of the reservoir now. I'm just looking for a few more shots just for finish off here.
Well, that's my day with the Lubitel. Thanks for joining me on this little walk around, and hopefully I'll see you at the coast.